He'll be able to do everything as of he's got to progress through the uh, the chain of climate. I don't know even what to call it. You got to go through a certain process of rebuilding your conditioning back. So I think he's got to go through the 25%, 50%, 75% activity and ramp back up into full speed. But he will start that process today.
Don't they call that re-socialization?
I don't know if it's that. Is that what they call it? I don't even know, to be honest.
I'm not sure.
It's re something. So
Yeah.
all I say, it's a restart, and he's here. And it is. The hard thing about that, being real frank about it, is what I have found by going through this multiple times now, is you think that you can walk right back out there and play, and there is a conditioning factor, there is an awareness factor, because it is like starting over. Because when you're in quarantine, you're not allowed to have anything to do with the team. You're not even the exercise and the activity. You take 2 weeks off, things change, and it takes a while to get that rhythm back, to get your body to react in the right way by getting hit, and sometimes you put yourself in harm's way if you don't go through that process of reacclimating yourself into the speed of the game, because your body doesn't react the same way like it does after you've been playing the game for 2 months. So it truly is a factor, and it's hard to explain how it's a factor, but you're not the same as when you left 2 weeks ago.
Would the fact that he has this gradual ramping back up like everybody else does when they come back, couple that with the fact he plays the quarterback position, does that make it so, you still feel confident he could be the starter Saturday, or this is a Wednesday decision, or Justin's going to be the guy as a result again this weekend?
No, I'd say in this conversation, I'd say Will's the quarterback, unless something shows up that I'm not aware of, or something rears its head, that something we got to be conscious of. So I would project that Will would be the starter come this Saturday if I had to answer the question today. See, I never tell you guys that. See, I got the one up this time. Usually I play the game.
I was a little surprised.
No, it's
even if Coach he doesn't take another snap this spring, how valuable is this 2 games for Justin moving forward? And I know we're talking far in advance here, but this is a valuable growth potential for him, getting 2 games of film and being able to grow them. Correct with Justin?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, anytime, what this does is it creates opportunities, and based off your performance, will it create other opportunity? But what it also does is it makes us aware of what needs to be improved upon, what really shows up that we need great improvement here. And then there's a lot of things that showed up with Justin that said, wow, he's further along than what I anticipated by watching him on scout team. So we really got to find out a lot about Justin. I think Justin got to find out a lot about Justin, and now we can expedite his growth by having the knowledge that we have after these past 2 games. So that was better than two spring ball games, what he just experienced, because those are live situations, officials, heat of the battle, and split-second decisions. So great growth potential for him, and great opportunity for us to expedite the process of growth by what we know about him now.
Short week for you. You got to get ready. You got to play Friday night. What's the challenge there?
Well, the real challenge is getting the bodies back that quickly, and 2 road games back to back. So, when you're coming off the trip to Western, what we were fortunate about is the game got moved from 7 to 11. To me, that's a day. So we gained a day back probably by playing early in the morning instead of late at night and getting home at 2 in the morning. So I think we gained a day back by doing that process. That day's important. And then, it was, probably the biggest challenge is that South Dakota did not play last week, because they would have been coming off a game 2 and probably a really physical game coming out of North Dakota State. But that didn't happen, so that gives them the extra week of rest. So I think those 2 things combined together is part of the balance of who's ready for the game and how physically, I don't want to say prepared, but how physically active are you ready to play that game coming off last weekend's game for us. So that'll be our question. That's kind of the training room report that I'm going to get, and then base it from there. So we'll have to get prepared mentally, know what we're doing, but how we practice probably won't be as maybe the same way as if we're playing on a Saturday afternoon.
You mentioned the training report. I believe on back-to-back plays are pretty close to back-to-back plays. I know Dom hobbled off, and so did Dion. How are they?
It's a long list, and it's a long training room list right now. And it was the one that I got yesterday, and I got one early this morning, but there was really no updates this morning. It's more so how do they progress this week. So those guys will not practice today, but today it will be pretty light anyway, but we'll have to practice. Usually this is a day off, so we'll have to do something with them today to start the process of getting them ready for this game. And neither of those two will participate today, and then we'll see tomorrow which ones can or cannot based off a full day off. And they had Sunday, Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and Monday now. So we'll see after 2.5 days where they stand on Tuesday. I'd probably have a better answer for you.
So both those guys are really day to day right now. That's what you would say.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't even say day to day. It's day to day is probably good for this conversation, but I don't know if it's even the percentages are that high.
More of a questionable or a doubtful for Friday.
Questionable is questionable is the right word to use.
Okay. And when it comes to Isaiah and Logan, we saw them out there again making some plays on Saturday. How would you characterize the progression, whatever kind of rate it may be at of those two, their health situations?
I'd say Isaiah has progressed, and then Wolf's there's not a lot of change, just because his is a different style of injury of what we're trying to do with him. So, both are clear to play. Both is obviously, and both are playing good football right now. I think probably to both of their abilities. I think I told one of the coaches the other day, because we expect so much from those two, but yet when you look at them, they're probably when we come back in August and we have 2-a-day camp, if you want to call it that still, your month of August, the first 3 weeks of August, your first 2 weeks you don't look very good because you're kind of stumbling over yourself and falling down, and it's kind of that reacclimation of playing football and playing at high speed and that. Well, Wolf is probably in his, third or fourth week of doing that now because of coming off his surgery way back before. So he's probably in the third week of camp, and you're still 2 weeks out from the first game. So that's probably where he's at as far as ramping up his play to what we all know and have seen him play. And I think Isaiah is probably a little bit further ahead on that. I'd probably say he's a week ahead of that. So he's probably the week before the first game of the season as far as practice time, full speed stuff. He's probably in that stage of his growth into a season. So that's how I'd gauge it in my head if I could explain it. I don't know if that's visible to you, but that's how I'd explain it.
Mark, seen him around a little bit, and then he was all over the cameras on Saturday, and fans on Twitter were asking about Terry Allen and TA's role on the staff, and basically, just that. What can you tell us about Terry?
Well, I just brought when we lost Ryan Mahaffey to the Packers, when he left for the NFL 2 weeks before the season started, we were going to progress forward as is, and he coached the tight ends as well as he had a position coach as well as all the terminology and all the things was kind of centered around Ryan Mahaffey, and then it was an easy transition into Sean Watson to pick up that terminology, and of course he puts his own spin to it, but that takes some time to develop too, and then where TA became a thought process for me anyway was when Nick Danielson and his wife had a baby the week of the Youngstown game, and Nick, that it's their first child, and any child is the most that you can't miss that day, and You want to say football is first and foremost, but not when it comes to, having a child and that type of stuff. So, and then they had some, some tense moments through the birth, and so he was out for a full week. So now I was down 2 position coaches, and now it's getting really lean. So now it's like we're out of coaches, and we got a game in 5 days. So how are we going to handle this? So I didn't want to hire anybody. So what I wanted to do was get somebody that could come in here that knew our program, that this program was important to, and it was more so bringing a person that really understood UNI and UNI football, and yet knew our football, and somebody that was involved in football watching intently. And he's been watching football, for the last 5 years, and watching every game of his other son play at Iowa State this fall. And so he's very in tune. He's with the officials, the Big 12 officials, is what he does during the season. So he's very in tune to all the things that are going on in football today. And so I thought, what a great name. His son's on the team. Let's bring him up as an analytical guy, put him in analytics, and allow him to be another set of eyes for us. So really that's what he's doing. He's just another set of eyes, particularly when we're going through the shortage of coaches. And now he's more of the guy in the sideline and the guy up in the office that said, hey, you may want to look at this, you may think of it this way. He just gives you another version of it. And I've always liked having those guys around because it's kind of a checks and a balance. And he sees things that maybe we don't see. And when he brings them to light, if they're usable and fit us, then we do them. So yeah, it's been nice having him around because UNI football and UNI is very important to him, and everything that I can trust that everything he tells me is in the best interest of our program, because he is a huge part of this program over all the years and the legacy that he left here.
What do you know about South Dakota?
South Dakota is, they really came out well. I mean, whatever happened, I don't know what happened exactly, but man, they beat Illinois State at Illinois State. Huge win for their program. Then COVID got them in a couple games, so they've only got to play 4 games. So I think they've been kind of snake bit a little bit with the COVID, and so I believe they're a very good team because they went down to Illinois State and came out fast and hard and beat them in a great way. They got great talent, and then they've been kind of in and out of games as far as, and I think that may have a lot to do with the COVID, because I know I'm experiencing a lot of that stuff too. So it's the hidden things that people don't see that you got to account for now. That it's not just records and scores. It's who was actually playing in those games for them and how did they evolve into that game. So I do know when they're at the beginning of the season, they were at the top of their game. Their defense is very aggressive. He's always been a great offensive coach as far as the things that he does and how he attacks defenses. So, it's another one of those games that we're going to have to go battle, and on a short week on top of it.